everyone. It's your girl, Sophia Lucia Parola with Garden State Film Festival. We are in our 22nd year. This year, we got 200 films from 14 countries from March 21st to March 24th. You can check out these films, Asbury Park, Cranford in New Jersey. One of the films that you can check out is this really cool student film short documentary called The Beatles and Beyond, A Lasting Legacy. I am here with the wonderful, talented people who were involved in making this short documentary. Hello, everyone. Congratulations and thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you.
Thanks. So I'm so happy we all can have this huge interview. I love this. It's more people to connect with. I love it. Let's get into our intros, starting with our writer-director, please.
Hi, my name's Clara McCourt, and I am the writer-director of The Beatles and Beyond, A Lasting Legacy.
Thank you, Clara.
Hi, I am Mari Bichetti, and I was their production assistant for this documentary.
Thank you.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. My name is Daniel. I was also a screenwriter and scriptwriter for this documentary.
Hello, my name is Mimi, and I was the producer and assistant camera operator for this documentary.
And I'm Luke. I was the editor and camera operation, a bunch of the technical behind-the-scenes stuff.
Hi, I'm Kaya. I was also a camera operator, and I helped out with script writing as well.
Lovely. So first, lots of questions for you guys, but my first one is directed to Clara. If you can give everyone watching a little synopsis about your film.
For sure. So as a little bit of background, we were all part of a Northeastern University student group traveling to London, May and June of 2023. We were really interested in the history of British music, so we decided to make our documentary as kind of a new generation's take on the Beatles. So we were able to travel to Abbey Road and all around London to learn what we could about the Beatles, how social causes influenced their music, and kind of what they meant to a generation at that time. And it's interesting because it's coming from, you know, a group of people who were born in the early 2000s and really don't have the same background as maybe other Beatles fans would. So, well, we learned a lot, and we hope that people learn a lot as well.
Oh, absolutely. I'm a huge Beatles fan. I learned so much, and so cool how that came about. Like, I assumed you were in London, but that's so cool, from Boston to London.
Yeah.
And was this something that you all were there and were like, hey, let's just make a film? Was this something boiling before you guys even went to London? Like, how did you all come together and decide to make this short documentary?
It was a school program, so we have this thing at Northeastern called Dialogues, where you apply, and it's like 5 weeks intensive in a different country, and we all decided to do the documentary and British culture filmmaking dialogue. So we met in Boston, and we got to know each other, and we're like, well, when we get to London, this is going to be our group. And that's how it went about, and it was honestly one of the greatest experiences of my life.
Wow. And did you guys all decide what you were going to be doing on this film, or like just brought your backgrounds? Like, how did we know who was going to do what?
I feel like we came with such a variety of different backgrounds, and we honestly got really lucky. I have, a bit of experience with writing and using camera equipment. I've never directed before. Luke is an incredible editor, has experience there. Mimi is the most organized woman in the entire continental United States, so she was our producer. Daniel has amazing writing skills. Kaya and Mari have incredible organizational skills, and we were able to kind of come together like this weird little puzzle. And it not only did it create like a fantastic crew environment, we're all now lifelong friends, and we all met on this trip.
Love that. I hope there's more projects from all of you to come. But what's really cool is I always am interested in how you even write a documentary, because so much of it comes from the interviews, right? And on this project, you had 3 writers. Is that correct? Clara, Daniel, and Kaya?
Yeah,
that's right.
How did you guys collaborate in writing this documentary? What did that look like?
Well, we started on with Google Docs. That's the foundation of everything. And we tried to find like different themes throughout the interviews and sort of like pull from different clips of the interviews to see which fits which theme, what flows better, which sounds better. And we were able to come up with a lot of cool themes. We weren't expecting our interviewers to just match so well and flow so well together, but we were able to do it by picking out like some themes we have where sometimes the Beatles are a little political with their music, and then we started with like the history. So we just tried to pull from different themes that our interviewees, sorry.
Wow. So it kind of happened after the fact. You got the interviews and the footage first and then wrote it a little bit after?
Yeah.
Wow. Daniel, can you elaborate on anything? What was that process like for you?
It was my first time ever having any sort of experience taking any sort of interviews or clips from interviews and really tapping into skills of trying to tell a story, a cohesive story at least. There were times Clara and I were just working together for hours trying to figure out what is the best story to tell. And then there are times where we realized we wanted to tell a different story, so now we have to go back and revise what we wanted within the script. So it was honestly a really interesting experience because you don't realize how much of clips and footage that people don't use within cinema and what they don't really need. And looking through all of it and trying to figure out what was the best to use was definitely time consuming, but definitely also a lot of fun and interesting to take as well.
Yeah, I'm sure there were so many different versions of this film that could have been, right? Like where you want to take it. That's so interesting. Mimi, Mari, you were both in the producing aspect, right?
Yes.
What was that like? How did you, I mean, there's so much Beatles footage, like it's insane. So how did you find the footage? How did you find these people to interview? Tell me a little bit about that aspect.
Well, I mean, for finding the people to interview, a lot of what we did was research when we were still in Boston. So we looked at, experts originally we were looking at focusing more on music as a theme in general. And then we decided, for a short student documentary, we really have to focus in, and we decided on the Beatles. And so we looked at experts in the field of music, whether they were a professor or a Beatles tour guide, an owner of a Beatles shop, something to do that they would obviously have a lot of knowledge. And so we just reached out with emails, and we sent a lot of emails, and those that responded were the ones that were featured in our documentary.
Wow. And what was that like for you, Mari? I know that before you were kind of explaining a lot of different jobs you've had. So can you kind of reiterate what involved being that production assistant on this project?
Yeah, so like what Mimi said, we like had a lot of people like lined up to interview, and we actually had someone like cancel last minute while we were already in London. So when we were there, it was this whole race to like try to find someone, and we found this amazing guy named Richard Porter, who's like a Beatles like tour guide, Beatles fan. He's actually met Paul, and he was just like the sweetest man. So it was great to interview him, and just like also like helping find the archival footage after we had like all of our interviews done. I know Mimi, Kaya, and I spent countless of hours on YouTube just trying to find like clips of the Beatles that would match up with the story we wanted to tell.
Wow. And what is that like? Like, do you have to find rights to it? And like, how did you find a lot of pushback when it came to interviewing these people, especially in London? I know the British culture and American culture are very different, so did you guys find was it difficult to find this footage and find the people to interview? Whoever wants to hop on there. Kaya, if you want to.
Yeah. I know the YouTube aspect, we tried really hard not to potentially get some still footage from someone, like they wouldn't want us to use it in our film. So we have to be very careful about watermarks and just like copyright and things of that nature. We even had a little bit of issues like on the editing side with like trying to get certain music. We really wanted to include Beatles music, but we were like, we're not too sure if we can do that. So it was a little struggle. But as for the finding the interviewees, it wasn't too much pushback. I mean, we did have a little scheduling issue just because of the short time frame we were in London, but I think we got lucky with our interviewees.
Absolutely.
We were all like very willing to like help like a student film, like because it wasn't going to be like we weren't making this for like to like put it anywhere for like money or anything. So like, yeah, if it's like student film, they were very willing to help.
That's a good point. Thank you for saying that, because people don't realize that with student films, people are much more lenient than
we literally had no budget. I think we had like $100 and that was it.
Wow. So thank you. I mean, shout out to all the people who were involved. That's amazing. Luke, you were a part of editing this, which I can imagine if it took hours just to figure out what this story was going to sound like, going through this footage, editing must have been crazy. Can you talk to us a little bit about what it was like editing this?
Yeah, sure. So to start, the first part of editing that I did was after we got these like hour-long interviews, I went through, and luckily Adobe Premiere Pro has this great transcription feature that I used to help generate transcripts to make the writing process a lot easier. So instead of having to watch through an hour of footage, they had a nice Google Doc of text, and I helped refine and make sure that it was all transcribed correctly. And then after that, I was given a pretty fantastic script to work with. So it just came down to finding those clips, making sure they all kind of fit together, making minor adjustments here and there, and then just taking the archival footage and putting it where it needed to be. So it was a lot of just like taking all the hard work that my other group members did and really bringing it out to its fullest potential, and adding my own little motion graphics here and there, and helping find the music to help it fit, and just small things like that to make the archival footage and the interviews all just kind of flow perfectly together.
Right. So humble, small things, not small at all. Well done. Clara, you directed this, and you were saying this is the first time you ever directed something?
Oh yeah, it's always been a dream of mine to direct. And so getting to, not only kind of take the lead on something like this, but to have such an incredible team to do it with, it's just like the honor of my life, the highlight of my college experience by far.
Wow. And I mean, how do you direct a short documentary? Because so much of it isn't planned and depends on what interviews you get. So what goes into directing a documentary?
Honestly, I wish I had the answer.
Right.
I think it was so much of thinking on my feet and, being able to kind of eke out a story when maybe there isn't one yet. And I think that all of us were really thinking of lots of different possibilities and doing a lot of external research in order to tell a story that's already out there, but in our own interesting way.
And are you very much involved in every single part of the process, pre-planning, obviously there when you're filming, and then were you with Luke too, trying to figure out what it looked like editing? Were you there for all of that?
Oh, absolutely. I wouldn't leave Luke alone. That poor boy. But
spent a lot of days just in my room, just at the computer, and Clara was great, always helping out with feedback. So
for sure, I think just being able to kind of supervise a step of the process, even if it wasn't something that I was directly involved with, I think it really helped streamline things, and most importantly, making sure all of us were on the same page about everything, which luckily we were.
Yeah. What a great collaboration. There's so many people involved in this, and you all were able to work together and make something fantastic. So what did we all learn? I mean, it's pretty short. I'd love to hear from everybody. Like, we're all still young artists, so you're still learning and growing in your careers. What did you learn from this project that you will take with you on your next project? Whoever wants to start off.
I think one of the things I learned is probably the importance of like having a group that you're comfortable working with and just enjoy being around. We spent like for 5 weeks every single day together, like waking up at like 4 a.m. to go to Abbey Road before anyone went there, like taking countless bus rides, tube rides, and just being with people that really want to like work with you and like were willing to like, we always were helping each other to like see each other thrive.
Love that.
I think also just with the creative process, resolving differences in opinion and being able to compromise is something that's really important to us. And I think I also learned, the value of getting like a full group's opinion. And I think that, the impact of teamwork like this is that people will bring things to the table that you could never think of, because that's just not how your brain works. So, I think there is such a real power in listening to each other and collaborating that can be, just a really healthy creative experience.
Absolutely. What else did we learn? Anybody else want to chime in there?
I'll chime in quickly. I think also just the idea of not having to only rely on your group, but not only rely that things can go wrong and that you do have to think quickly on your feet about something different. Like we had mentioned, we had one of our interviews fall through and we were already in London trying to figure out how filming was going to go. So the idea that you shouldn't have this concrete idea of having something so specific, and it's either always good to have a backup plan or always able to think quickly on your feet, which is a much easier to do when you have a group of people relying with yourself.
Mimi, I mean, you guys said that you were reaching out to people like weeks in advance in Boston. Any advice you can give for other producers on documentaries that you learned in this project?
I think the biggest part for me was that, it helps that I am incredibly organized, but everything that I did, I kept my team updated 100% of the way. And so that way, if they had another idea that I hadn't thought of, or if something happened last minute where we had to scramble and change something or end up going to a different part of London that day, we were able to really think on our feet and just everyone be prepared, because I kept everyone updated every part of the way. So we all knew where we were throughout the process.
Absolutely. Kaya, you had that wonderful compliment earlier that you were like the most organized. I forget what it was. Clara said something amazing about you. What's your advice? How do we become that?
I guess just piggyback off of what Clara said. She like took the words right out of my mouth. I was gonna say like communication is very valuable, especially in a large group. I remember just being like a little insecure about my ideas, or maybe I shouldn't suggest this, but just learning to be open and voice all your opinions, all your concerns, and just it's your project, it's also your project, and trusting your group, trust the process, and we made a great film. So don't be afraid to communicate with your group members. That's what I learned.
Love it. Absolutely. And the last thing I want to get from you guys is how you heard about Garden State Film Festival and how it feels to have the Beatles and Beyond: A Lasting Legacy here at the 22nd Annual Garden State Film Festival. How are we feeling?
Oh, we're thrilled. And I just want to represent Kaya and I are both proud New Jerseyans.
Yes.
So that's how we know about this. And to have this in our home state, even though we're in a different one right now, is just such an honor and a privilege.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Amazing. Are we coming to the screening?
I hope so.
I hope.
Hopefully, we have to plan the trip down.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, definitely.
We travel well together, so
Yeah.
let's make it happen.
I hope you guys do. You never know. Maybe another film or story idea comes to you while you're in Asbury Park. So we hope to see you guys there. Let me tell everyone watching how you can watch The Beatles and Beyond: A Lasting Legacy. It will be playing Saturday, March 23rd from the film block 12 to 2:15 p.m. at Cranford Theater. So Cranford, not Asbury, but then you can hop over to Asbury after and enjoy the rest of the festival. Hope to see you guys there. Congratulations again. And thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.